In order to find the missing parts of a triangle, it's helpful to create a relationship between what we know and what we don't know. Let's take a look at part D as an example. There are a few ways we can connect the parts of a triangle to create an equation between them. One of them are the basic trigonometric relationships, sine, cosine, and tangent. Now, those actually aren't going to be too helpful to us in part D because we don't have any right triangles. There's not a right triangle here. There are no 90-degree angles. Because of that, we can't use those regular relationships. Instead, we have to use either law of sines or law of cosines. Now, law of sines applies when you have at least one angle and the opposite side, and then another either angle or side. It helps finding the remaining angles and sides. Law of cosines relates two sides, the angle connecting them, and the opposite angle. You'll notice that for law of cosines will definitely not apply because we don't have a third side. Or we don't have another side here. We don't have two sides and the angle connecting them. We have two angles and the side connecting them. So law of cosines won't apply. Law of sines, however, might be able to help us. Not because we have an angle and the side opposite to it. Notice that we actually do not, guys, right now, but we can get that because we know two of the angles and we know the third angle, when you add them all together, has to be 180. So we'll call this angle theta, let's say. So we know 30 plus theta has to equal 180, as with any triangle. That tells us that theta equals 180 minus 30 is 120. Now we have an angle, the side opposite, and another angle with the side opposite. So let's create our law of sines. Law of sines says that if we create a relationship between the side and the angle, a fraction here, so x over its opposite angle, which is sine of 30, that's equal to the relationship the same way of another side and the opposite angle, which we found theta was 120, so I can put that here. All right. Notice that all I have to do here is multiply by sine of 30 to get x. So we have x is equal to 12 times sine of 30 over sine of 120. And sine of 30 and sine of 120 are values that we can actually glean from the unit circle, thankfully. Sine of 30 is a positive 1/2. Sine of 120 is a square root of 3 over 2. So what we have then is 12 times 1/2 divided by the square root of 3 over 2. I can multiply by 2 in the numerator and denominator to simplify it a little bit, and we'll end up with 12 divided by the square root of 3. And then if I want to rationalize this fraction here, I would multiply by the square root of 3 in the denominator and numerator to get 12 square root of 3 over 3, or in other words, 4 square root of 3.